So what you guys just witnessed there was the latest exploit in the realm of cheaters on Tekken 8. And the cheating / plugging situation on Tekken 8 has gotten so out of hand, I haven't actually played it for the past 5 days. I've just been playing Yakuza. It has actually gotten to the point now where I cannot be bothered to play ranked. I knew this was going to happen because of Harada's responses to the community and the way they're handling this. And this is no shade on Harada or the Namco team, because they have given us mostly a fantastic fighting game. But like I said, a lot of people are being turned off from what is going on. As far as I'm aware, Tekken has lost a fair couple of thousand players on Tekken 8, and I think some of this can be attributed to the plugger situation. It's unfortunate and it's annoying, but we're going to go through the latest saga and what is going on with the cheaters and the pluggers and how this situation has evolved and the lack of an appropriate response from Namco. And if that sounds like I'm being a little bit harsh in this video, it's because it's a little bit frustrating to spend a lot of money on a game only to have it basically ruined for you by people that should otherwise really be punished in the most simple of ways. But we're going to go through some of the exchanges on Twitter regarding this, and then we're going to get to a second topic regarding Mortal Kombat 1 and Peacemaker. I did think there's a bit of an interesting discussion there that we can have. So as always guys, leave your comments in the comment section below and we'll open up a discourse regarding the two subjects. So we're going to start with Tekken to begin with, obviously. As you guys saw in that video, this is the latest exploit by the cheaters. What they're doing is they're able to make you see their mods now, and they're taking items from the shop and they're expanding them to as big as they can get them, so it covers the character so you can no longer really see what the character is doing. So essentially, rather than plugging, rather than basically wasting your time and wasting their time and no one gaining anything from it, what they're now doing is they're now making it so that it's so difficult for you to actually see what's going on that they're actually just robbing your points outright. This is something that is across the board now. Multiple people are doing it. There's another player here that you can see doing it to this Asuka player, and there's other people that have been seen doing it as well. It's sort of like gone viral on Twitter. So you can see Garo of the Desert here saying, I thought that people can't see mods if the other guy doesn't have the same one installed. And Sandman, which is the person that it happened to, said they basically manipulate the in-game files and make customization items 500% bigger to cover up the opponent. You won't be able to see what they're doing essentially, and that is really just unacceptable when it comes to playing the game online. Obviously, if you can't see a character's limbs, a lot of things in Tekken are based off visual indicators. So for example, say a king player does this to you and he goes for a grab, you're screwed because now you can't see his arms. So this is a really bad exploit. Harada has said, we will ban them after preserving evidence of chatter's replay data. When you use the hashtag TA_report, please include the player's name and region information so that we can ban them smoothly. Now I have my issues with this whole reporting system and how this is being handled, but I'm going to go through the tweets and I'll give my responses as people respond to Harada, because I do think people have the same sort of sentiment towards how this is being handled as I do. And then this guy says, Harada, what do you think about implementing an easier system of reporting cheating and disconnects? You should be able to report people in game, and when someone disconnects from the match, it should give the other person a win at the very least. Now I agree with this. I think this cheating situation is a little bit harder and video evidence will definitely have to be shown, because apparently there is a way so that the people that go to review the replays, the cheaters are coming up with a way so that it doesn't look like they've added any mods. So say for example Harada went to investigate this guy. I've been told by somebody just now that I know that the cheaters have figured out a way so that, and this is what I've been told, I don't know if it's 100% true, but apparently they've figured out a way where when you go into the actual replay system, it just looks like a normal match. There's no modding in there. So the people that are investigating it on the TA report section can't actually see it, and so you'll actually have to record it and send it into TA report system, which I think is a load of nonsense. It makes the whole situation even harder. I don't really know how you go about mitigating that other than using this report system, but I do think that that is a separate issue from the plugin system, and I'm going to get onto the plugin system in a little bit and what I think is going on here. And I think the lack of appropriate responses is becoming a real serious problem for Tekken 8. He then goes on to say, this is way too many steps. He's referring to the TA report. There needs to be a more accessible way to report people. Also, having to report things that happen in game on Twitter is unbelievably lame and inefficient. I love Tekken 8, but it has a huge disconnect problem that needs addressing. This sentiment I 100% agree with. I think it's ridiculous that I have to come onto Twitter to report people to Harada. There's no confirmation of most of the time that you're being acknowledged. There's no confirmation to know that this situation is actually going to be fixed, because there's multiple players that I've seen that have been reported and they've got no disconnect ratio on their profile, and they're basically just doing whatever they want. I mean, for example, when they went around banning people on the leaderboards that were in the top 10 that were cheating, Boars was still on there, and he is a notorious cheater. He has been streaming his cheating ways since early Tekken 7, and he's still on there. So the banning thing is obviously not working. But I do want to read some responses from the community here, which I think are absolutely ridiculous. You've got this guy here, Devout Genova's Witness, said, dude, it takes less than a minute. We have a way to report it for now, and it isn't ultra brain dead where it can be abused, and Bamco is stuck dealing with thousands of salty reports instead of legit ones. Then you've got this other guy saying a prime example of a first world problem, and I really think these are bogus responses. They're really downplaying the situation here. When you purchase something, it doesn't matter if it's for £1 or £100. If you purchase something, you want the product to work as intended. This is obviously not what they intended, and that's why they're trying to take action. The problem here is the action they're taking is insufficient. And so yes, it is a first world problem. It is just a video game, and like I said to you guys, I have turned it off mostly. The footage you're seeing in the background here is literally me playing it today after I got demoted, and then I couldn't get my rank back because of the abundance of people plugging. I just couldn't be bothered, so I've turned it back on for the purpose of this video. And yes, it is a first world problem, but at the end of the day, we paid for a product. Namco should have had a system in place to deal with this sort of problem, because this is a problem that happened in Tekken 7. Now Tekken 7 was nowhere near as bad as this, but it's just unacceptable. This has been going on for way too long, and people saying it takes less than a minute, don't fucking ride for Namco over this. Like, they deserve all of the angry customers that they're getting right now, because their response to dealing with this is unacceptable. Other fighting games simply take the points away from the person that is plugging. Other fighting games award the person that won the match their points. Other fighting games ban people that do these things. Even Smash Brothers, the game that we can't even decide if it's a real fighting game, bans people, gives people suspensions. Why can't Tekken do it? All this stuff about, oh, we have to get the law involved and whatnot. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Even shooting games time people out. I've never heard of lawsuits, and what we're going to get onto that in a minute, but lawsuits and getting the law involved and having to go through different laws of countries. I've never heard of this nonsense before. Now I'll tell you why I think they're doing it towards the end of this topic before we move over to Mortal Kombat. D-Slam says, stop bitching, it's literally temporary. D-Slam, nope. Completely disagree with you. Continue bitching, continue blowing up Harada's Twitter. They need to implement a proper system to facilitate what is going on here. This is ridiculous. It's gotten to the point now, and I shit you guys not, I was sitting here trying to get my rank back, so I wasn't recording. I was just playing the game, and I was like, I'll get my Bushin rank back, and then I'll start recording my way back to Tekken King. And I couldn't do it. Do you want to know why? Because 5 times in a row, I got pluggers. I got a Tekken Emperor, and I think I got video footage of this, and I put it on Twitter. I'll put it here for you guys to see as well. I got a Tekken Emperor, and I knew if I beat this guy, which I knew I was going to, I knew he was outgunned, that I was going to get most of my points back. I'd beat a Bushin, I'd be back on my road to Tekken King, no problem. And this was the final straw for me. I had played so many people that plugged me that I was like, that's it. After the Tekken Emperor did it, I was like, that's it, I'm done. And there was no acknowledgement when I tagged Harada. There was nothing. I put in the TA report thing. I don't know if this person's going to get banned. I don't even really care if they do. I just want my points. Now, the argument's been made that if they implement a system where they're giving us points every time this happens, then it could be a situation where people are boosting. But I think you're much likely to get a boosting situation in Tekken 8. I mean, in Tekken 7, they had death matches, and people were doing this anyway, and people were finding their friends anyway. I do think that is much less prevalent than they make out. However, if that is the case, then just take their points away from them. But again, I have a theory on why they're not taking their points away from them. And actually, before I forget, I'll just say what that is. The reason that they're not taking their points away from them is because I think it has something to do with the Tekken store. I think that they're worried about penalizing people that are doing this so much that they don't buy stuff on the Tekken store. I think that if they ban too many people, if they penalize too many people, that these people that are doing it because they're wanting to appear like Tekken Emperors and they don't want to lose, they're not going to invest in Harada's game. And I think that is what's making them be very apprehensive of taking points away from people. I know it might sound silly to think, but I can't think of another reason for why you wouldn't just punish people like every other fighting game does. Street Fighter 6 punishes people, Smash Brothers punishes people, I'm pretty sure Guilty Gear punishes people, even Arena Fighters punish people. But for whatever reason, the game that we've basically given maximum respect to, that most people are hailing as the greatest Tekken game ever made, one of the greatest fighting games ever made, can't implement basic systems to stop people from doing this bullshit. And then Sandman said, people report on Twitter to let other players know so they can block them in advance. Twitter report is also for bugs with video evidence and explanation to when, why, and how it can happen. But I agree there should be a report function after rematches in the rematch menu. Yeah, if you're going to go down the route of having to report every time it happens rather than just having a system in place to award the player or to penalize the other player, then it should be much more accessible. I don't really want to have to go and record a match, upload it to Twitter, and tag you. Like, your game should be competent enough to deal with these situations in game, especially if you know that it was such a serious problem in Tekken 7, and it was a pretty big problem in Tekken 7. Kyrie says, I understand being mad about being plugged on, and that's fine to report them for their actions in game, but why would you report their Steam account? Like, that's someone's whole account with all their games and purchases. That's fucked up to do that over a Tekken match IMO. I completely disagree with Kyrie, and this was in response to somebody saying, why don't you report their Steam account? I believe that if you want to waste my time, if you want to break the rules of the game, if you want to put yourself in the line of fire, then you should receive the maximum penalty. Now, if you get your Steam account banned because you want to act a fool on Tekken, that's your problem. And I would encourage people, if that's something that you can do, to teach these pluggers a lesson, because Harada won't do it. And if it's something that Steam is willing to accommodate, then every single person that's plugging and cheating with these new mods, report their Steam account. Hopefully they do get banned, and hopefully the people that do get banned, it will make an example out of them, and the other people will be like, do you know what, I don't really want all my purchases to go away, I think I'm not going to do it. When people are doing things like this and they're running rampant on anything, it's not even a video game, it can be anything in life. Sometimes, unfortunately, examples need to be made out of people. And I know that might sound really harsh because people have invested a lot of time and money into their Steam accounts, but at the end of the day, you decide to break the rules, you got caught in 4K, and here's your punishment. So if Steam is able to do that, I encourage people to report them to Steam and they can face the consequences. And then hopefully other people that are playing on PC, playing for a Steam account, be like, do you know what, let me not do that, I don't want to risk it. And then, you know what, if Harada doesn't want to do it himself, then at least then we would have put the fear of God in these people, because nobody wants all their purchases to go to waste. And by the way, does anyone remember this? We've noticed that some players have accessed the Tekken 8 closed network test, CNT, and played the game beyond the closed test period. Such actions breach the terms of service and the Tekken World Tour Code of Conduct. Also, the unauthorized download or distribution of the game is illegal. Please note that any player found to have access to CNT without authorization may be deemed ineligible for the upcoming Tekken World Tour and other official tournaments. Your cooperation in preserving the fairness and competitive integrity of our competition is highly valued. Thank you, from the Tekken team. So why is it that they can implement these rules for the Tekken World Tour if you're playing their game ahead of it being released, but they can't implement this for people that are plugging? I mean, it says here, your cooperation in preserving the fairness and competitive integrity of our competition is highly valued. Does that not stand for ranked as well? Why is it always legal issues and lawsuits when they're talking about pluggers and ranked, but on here they're very quick to do it and implement it? And maybe there is a difference, I don't know what it is. If Harada could point that out, I would very much like to hear what the difference is and how they're able to pass this without having lawsuits and people taking them to court, and why they can't do that with ranked. Harada tweeted saying, you misunderstand, but we have a reporting function in the game. If you have played against someone once, you can report it from the community menu. Basically, this reporting function is sufficient. Of course, you can use it too. Just use the in-game reporting system instead of Twitter. However, unbelievably, in our experience in every game, there are always players who will file a lawsuit if you report a ban. In preparation for this, we have all kinds of evidence preserved and ready to be submitted, and not only the in-game data but also the accusations made via Twitter will reinforce this evidence. So please understand that this is a supplementary system but very helpful for us to be prepared for lawsuits and not the main reporting system. Now, I have absolutely no idea, and I had no idea, that there were any lawsuits going on when you ban players. As far as I was aware, if you cheat on a game and you're breaking the rules, you are up to be banned. How can you file a lawsuit when you broke the rules and you're caught in 4K? That doesn't really make any sense to me. I hope that Harada can elaborate on that, because in all the time that I've been gaming, in all the time I've been playing video games online, I have never heard of any of this in my life. So I don't know what the hell is going on with Tekken 8, how people are able to get this passed, if this has been going on for a long time and I've somehow just missed it, but it sounds like a lot of bullshit to me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And again, other games have systems where they penalize players, so why is it just Tekken 8 where this is such a massive problem? And then John SF says, if a player disconnects, does the game know? Is there a replay that support can find? From what I see, the matchmaking still only shows 0% disconnect rate, and if the match doesn't complete, there is no replay. How can the team verify? And that is a very, very valid point. If you go to look up your replay system, oftentimes you will not find this match that disconnected. So how exactly are they finding it? Do you have to have OBS open when you're recording Tekken, and that's the only way Tekken team's going to see it? They say there's a report function in the game. I don't know how well that works. I'm inclined to believe it doesn't work properly at all because the reports don't seem to be banning these players. I don't know how quickly the Tekken team is getting on it. This is the biggest problem that Tekken's facing because, like I said to you guys before, story mode is complete, character episodes are complete, people have had their fun with the music, people have had their fun with customization. Now it's all about playing online, and it's turning people off. I mean, I'm one of the people that decided, that's it, I've had enough. I cannot be bothered to play. I mean, first of all, my main character is not even in the game yet, which is Marduk. Now, if he comes out in the game, I'm going to be more incentivized to play it. And whilst I'm still having fun with Feng Wei, and I'm learning Jack 8 on the side and Paul, going online and be disconnected at all ranks is a massive put off, and that is why I turned it off, and I suspect more people are going to turn off the game if Harada doesn't address this properly. Now, it does say 0% disconnect on people's accounts that I've seen disconnect from me before, so it's clearly not working. I don't know what the hell is going on and how they didn't cover this before the game came out, but it's really, really shambolic. It's terrible on all measures. This is one of the most shambolic rank systems I've seen, and it seems like such an easy fix because outside of like little spikes of lag, which I've seen more prevalent recently, when the game came out it wasn't that bad, the netcode was pretty good. It seems to have gotten worse over time, especially when I was playing today. You guys are seeing this footage, I had quite a bit of lag and it was a bit weird, so I don't know what's going on, but outside of that it's been pretty fine apart from the plugging. It seems like such a simple thing to fix. And then Mark says, I have reported every single plugger I encountered via the system since launch. None of them have been punished apparently. Yeah, well, you and me both, Mark. Well, actually, that's a lie. I haven't reported them, but I haven't seen anyone punished. I've been reporting via Twitter, and I don't know if anything that I've reported has been acknowledged. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of just bored of it. I'm just like, implement a proper system, guys. Like, it's not that hard. Visit the Wizard says, will we ever get acknowledgement that our report has been looked into? For example, our in-game message that says we looked into your report and we determined, etc. Because it would feel good to have that sort of feedback in our reports. Dude, I'll be completely honest with you, I don't even care if they do that. I'm so bored of the conversation that they're trying to put forward with it. It's a very simple fix for me. Divine says, everyone's still waiting on you guys to do something practical in-game. Our win should count. There should be an in-game penalty for plugging. And then this guy says, we just need the function that if someone disconnects for whatever reason, that person is losing points like if they would have lost. The other person gets his winning reward. It's not like this would happen to anyone every 5 minutes. Even if so, then just check the connection. And yeah, again, like we've covered this topic before, and this is really the only major topic to cover right now with Tekken. This is the one that is really, really dragging it down, and it is a really, really bad problem because nobody wants to be playing ranked and it's just constantly happening to you like over and over and over again. It's just a bit like my time's being wasted, and that's what was happening. My time was being wasted, and I was like, I'm a gamer, I enjoy playing games, I like working towards things. I know not everybody does, I know not everybody's interested in working towards things. I'm one of those people that do. Now rank is set up in a way so that when I turn on the system, I go into rank, I beat people, I get rewarded. I'm not being given my rewards. If you're not going to address the situation properly, there may as well be no rewards because I can't obtain them because you didn't address the situation properly. So Harada needs to get on this ASAP. They need to implement a system where they are having their points taken away. If they don't want to award me my points, then fine. Implement something. Do something. This is ridiculous. You've basically given us this AAA fighting game that fires off on all cylinders, amazing music, amazing graphics, great roster, great story mode, great offline modes, great everything, and you drop the ball here, which seems like the most simple thing to do as well. So the next Tekken talk, I don't want this to be glazed over. Get this video to Harada and Michael Murray. This needs to be the vocal point of the entire discussion. I don't care about the Tekken shop and what else you want to do. I want to hear you guys saying we are penalizing them this way. The banning doesn't work. Cheaters are called cheaters for a reason. They will find a way to do it again. Let me repeat that to you. If you ban them, they will find a way to do it again, and they will continue doing it. The banning is all fine. I'm not saying don't do it, but you need to do more. It's not enough. It's just simply not enough. You need to do more to fix this problem. We are still in season 1, so it's not too late. But if this is going on in like season 3, 4, you can kiss your game goodbye. I'm not going to bother turning it on. What's the point? I've just reinstalled Street Fighter 6 because the disconnecting in that game is nowhere near as bad, and there's actual punishment. There's no punishment in this game. All of this lawsuit talk, all of this, oh, we can't do this. I do think it comes down to the Tekken shop. I do think it comes down to what incentivizing these people to not pay for things and to make them feel like they can still go in there and get their thing and they're not going to be punished for it. That's what it feels like to me. It's just they're losing players doing this, and I'm one of those players. I'm getting turned off playing it just because I can't get through a match properly. And you guys have seen my videos with the amount of disconnects that I get. It's really frustrating. Anyway, that's the end of the Tekken topic. I'm now going to move on to Mortal Kombat. Now, this is a very brief topic, but I did want to talk about it very, very quickly. So just the other day at the Oscars, John Cena came out butt-ass naked and presented an award, and there's been a lot of conversation about it. You know, a lot of controversy has been conjured up from it. There's been a lot of talks about humiliation rituals and those sort of things, and we're not going to get into that today, although if you want to talk to me about it, I'm more than happy to speak to people on Discord or speak to people on Instagram about it and how I feel about what happened on stage, but that's a topic for another day. What I want to discuss here is some of the controversy that was conjured up by Ed Boon on Twitter. So he tweeted out, "You wouldn't believe how many requests to make this as a Peacemaker skin," and then hashtag Mortal Kombat 1, and obviously there's a picture there of John Cena naked. I've cut it off just in case YouTube gets funny about it, even though he is naked all over YouTube. I do find it weird that he did that, but we're not going to get into that right now. And obviously people were like, interesting. Now, I don't know if Ed Boon was just doing this as a bit of a joke, but people didn't take very kindly to it. More recently, there has been conversations around the women in Mortal Kombat and how they're no longer presented the way they used to. And when Ed Boon tweeted that, people took it as, oh, you're very happy to have male characters undressed in the game, but female characters can no longer have big boobs, big bum, and be showing cleavage. And I did think the conversation was somewhat interesting because they have moved away from that in Mortal Kombat in more recent years. I am actually against the move from it. I do prefer the old costumes and the way the women were presented, just because I felt like it fit the aesthetic of Mortal Kombat more. I've said to you guys before, and I even said it in my previous video, that Mortal Kombat feels like it's a bit devoid of what made it Mortal Kombat, and I do think that hypersexualization is part of it. I know some people might not like that, and I think some people are against that. I'm not one that's against it. I don't mind it for the men or the women. I do think it's interesting that he tweeted that, but obviously you've got people who are saying, you wouldn't believe how many requests there are to bring these skins in. Now, NRS has been very vocal in not wanting to bring back these sexy skins of these characters, and there seems to have been a push to cover up the women specifically. That doesn't seem to be the case for men. The men are mostly presented how they were in the old days. It just seems to be something for women, which, you know, I always find funny with Mortal Kombat because they're very happy to push the boundaries of violence and gore, which is something that is more or less unacceptable, especially to the point that they push it. But looking at a bit of cleavage, that's a bit of a problem for them. You got someone here saying, where is this skin at? Give us the Deadly Alliance Lee May. And obviously that is a very busty picture of Lee May, which is something that I don't think NRS appreciates anymore. This guy says, yet you don't have the balls to give us this Melina skin. And obviously that is a very it's a nice skin, I won't lie. This guy says, and where are they to, Edward? You've got Lee May and Melina there. And then you've got the very controversial Melina skin, and obviously this skin was in MK9. It's no longer found anywhere, although they did include it in the background of one of the Invasion seasons that they've done, so I did find that interesting. Now, I don't know what NRS's position is on this. I don't know how they feel about these things. It's something that I'd like to ask them directly, although I don't think I'll ever get the opportunity to speak to them directly given the things that I've said about them, and that's fine. But I do find it weird that the women in a game that is all about chopping people up are really the thing that they're very prudish about and they don't want to expose, but with the men, they're very happy to do that. Now, I don't think if a woman came out on stage in the fashion that John Cena did, that they would have been on Ed Boon's Twitter like that. I don't think he would have tweeted something like that. And I want to know what you guys think, because for the longest time there has been conversations about the covering up of women in Mortal Kombat, and there's been a lot of comparisons, or people have been pointing out the fact that Japanese developers just don't do this. If anything, Japanese developers are more happy to push the envelope when it comes to how they present the female body, but they're not as inclined to tear their characters limbs from limbs. So I guess it comes down to, where do the developers place their morals and their values? I personally find it more weird that the NRS developers are very happy to decapitate women or very happy to rip their bodies limb from limb, but they're not happy to present them in the way that they did in Mortal Kombat 9. So what do you guys think about Ed Boon tweeting out the picture of John Cena saying they've been getting requests for that skin? skin. It's not a skin that I think we will see in the game, but I do find it interesting that the head of a company or the head of a studio that's become very prudish about the female body is happy to tweet a picture out like that of John Cena, and he tweeted out the whole picture, and I do think that picture of John Cena is a bit crazy. I won't lie to you guys. I would have thought it was crazy if a woman was doing that. But me personally, I do miss the old presentation of the females in Mortal Kombat. And I'm not just talking about how Melina is presented in Mortal Kombat 9, but just across the board, I do think the costumes were a lot cooler. I do think the women looked a lot more badass. I do prefer the presentation of, say, Tanya from back in the day. I do prefer the presentation of Melina, Kitana, Sindel. It fit what Mortal Kombat was a bit more, and it's also a little bit weird that the men never really moved away from that presentation. It was only the women. But let me know what you guys think of both of these topics in the comment section below. Do you think Harada is doing enough for Tekken 8 right now? Do you think that the presentation of the women in Mortal Kombat 1 is not good enough to you and not up to standards, and would you like to see them return to how they used to be? Or do you think it's perfectly fine and they shouldn't hypersexualize the women? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, guys, thank you so much for all of the love and support. You guys have been amazing, and we will be back with more very soon. Take care and peace.